Hi, my name is Chris and this is Battle Nonsense. All the work that DICE, LA and Visceral have put into Battlefield 4 surely paid off, as it turned it into a game that you can have a pretty good time with now. But when you work on a game that has already been released, then this really limits the scale of the changes that you are allowed to do. As a result, there's still a lot that DICE can and hopefully will do better in Battlefield 5. So if you've seen my Battlefield 1982 design concept, then you know that I would do a lot of changes. But in this video I want to talk about my top 10 wishes for Battlefield 5, which would, in my opinion at least, make it a much better Battlefield game than Battlefield 4 is. I'm not the kind of person who plays a game because of its ranks and unlocks, but if they are done right, then they are definitely a nice extra. For Battlefield 5 I hope that the ranks have some sort of meaning again and represent what I achieved in the game, or which aspects of it I already mastered. I don't want ranks to be a simple playtime indicator like they are in all the Frostbite engine titles. When it comes to unlocks, then the designers have to be extremely careful, because if the next gun you unlock is more powerful than the previous one, then this will lead to a rich get richer situation where the gamers who spend more time playing the game do not only get more experienced but also a lot more powerful. As a result of that, new players do not only have to learn the game, they are also outgunned while they do it. So the designers have to be very careful that the unlock system does not punish those players who buy the game late or don't have as much time to play like others do. Unlocks have to be about variety and customization, and not about becoming more powerful. So when you unlock a new assault rifle, then this must not render your previous assault rifles useless. What it has to do is give you a different option. Another thing that the designers have to take care about is that they don't add unnecessary elements to the game just to extend the unlock and progression tree. If they put something into the game, then it has to have a real purpose and integrate into the overall design of the game. We really do not need any redundant or troll gadgets that are disruptive for the gameplay. I do not need to see a replay from the perspective of the enemy, nor do I need the game to highlight the enemy in red and follow him. When I die, then the camera can simply look down on my dead body while I wait for a medic to revive me. But what I do want from the game is detailed information how I got killed. I want to know who the players were that I received damage from, what guns they used, and what my health value was when I received those final hits. With that kind of information it will be clear how I got killed, which avoids a lot of false accusations and blaming the game in situations where you got shot from multiple directions or when your health value was not at 100% as you thought it was. When someone talks about demo recording in video games, then most people usually think about videos. But a server-side demo recorder like we had in Battlefield 2 and 2142 does not record a video. It creates a file that stores the actions of every player who is on the server, which you can download to your client and then have the game play back the entire match whenever you want. This is extremely helpful for machinima directors, because it gives them a lot more freedom to work on the camera angles after the scene has been shot. But this is not just great for machinima directors. Everyone benefits from server-side demo recording. Just think about all those great moments that you could not share with your friends because you were not recording your gameplay. With server-side demo recording you can not only show them, but you can also do that in a much more cinematic way, as you are not limited to your own perspective. For the competitive scene, demo recording would mean that you can analyze a match afterwards to find out why you lost or what you can do better. It also helps you when you have to settle a dispute, like when one team accuses the other that they broke a rule. So I really hope that it finally makes a return in the next Battlefield game, as it's a really awesome tool for the community that adds a lot of additional value to the game. Battlefield 5 will surely feature vastly different game modes that provide us with unique experiences. But I think that one of the lessons that we learned from the previous games is that if you try to have one map support game modes as different as Rush and Conquest, then you will end up with a map where only one of these modes works really good, while the other is not that much fun to play. Or even worse, you could end up with a map where both modes are not fun to play. So for Battlefield 5 I hope that DICE designs maps specifically for a certain game mode to make sure that this mode works perfectly on that map. Yes, this means that you cannot play Conquest and Rush on every map. But as we've seen in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, the server admins only keep maps in the rotation where a certain game mode works well, because that's what we want to play. We do not want to play Rush on a map where the mode does not work, and that's why admins will not put that map into their rotation. So when you design maps for a specific game mode only, then this will lead to a better experience, as the designers do not have to make any compromises when they design that map. Another aspect of the map design is how much choice it gives the player. Because if the map is very linear, with little to no routes to choose from, then the map usually gets boring very fast, because there are just a handful of different scenarios that the map will play out like. So in order to keep a map interesting, the designers have to ensure that they give the player enough freedom. This is also where the destruction comes into play. Battlefield 5 really needs to be on the same level as Bad Company 2 here, as the ability to just make a door when you need one is what adds diversity to the gameplay. Sure, you want to avoid that players can destroy the entire map, but you can work around that by making buildings indestructible, which are made out of concrete. Also, instead of those scripted Levolution events that we have in Battlefield 4, I'd like to have a dynamic weather system like we know from racing games. So in the loading or briefing screen of a map, we would get a weather forecast which tells us what we can expect. The round could then start with any kind of weather condition and change to a different condition during the round, or it could stay the same during the entire round. This dynamic element would add a lot of diversity to the gameplay. A trend that worries me is that players don't seem to be interested anymore in playing towards the goal of the game mode, and as a result you usually win or lose a match with more than 100 tickets left. Long over are the days where it was normal that you would win or lose a match with a single ticket left, or where a match would even end in a draw. Yes, that was a thing in Battlefield 2. The last Conquest match that I can remember where we won with just one ticket remaining was in Battlefield 3 on Strike at Karkand, close after the release of that DLC. And this is the only public match I can remember where it ended that closely and where we had a really hard fight. I hope that the designers can find a way to get players to care about the objective of the game mode again, to care if their team wins or loses. Because since Battlefield 3, most of the players seem to only worry about who ends up at the top of the scoreboard. Why this happens is a tough question. There's surely not just one factor that is responsible for this development, and this means that you cannot fix it with one single change. Many different things have to come together in order to show the player that to attack or defend this objective is what he is meant to do. But that's not enough. This also has to be a rewarding gameplay loop, because you have a big problem as soon as the player feels that it's not worth his time to care about the objective, which is exactly what we have since Battlefield 3. So in addition to other gameplay changes, I'd bring back the end of round cinematics from Bad Company and have the end of round screen focus on my team's performance and how much I contributed to the win or loss. That could help to steer the player in the right direction. Another concerning trend that we've seen during the last years is that players don't care about their teammates anymore. Players drive or fly away in empty vehicles. They do not provide players with ammo or medic packs, they steal your revive while you are charging your defibrillator, etc, etc, etc. Battlefield quite literally went from a team-based first-person shooter to a full-on ego shooter. Now, I hope that DICE agrees that this is indeed a worrying trend which not only has to be stopped but reversed in Battlefield 5. The players have to be rewarded for playing as a team, and that don't just mean points for teamwork actions. The players need to feel that their experience gets better when they work together. You can affect that with the class design, how many classes you put into the game, what their roles are and how they complement each other. But you can't just include a lot of game mechanics and hope that teamwork will magically happen. You also have to provide the players with the tools to coordinate their actions. You need to enable them to work as a team. A decent voice over IP system is obviously on top of that list, but it's not quite enough because voice communication gets quite chaotic during a battle, and the language barrier is a massive issue. So what we need in addition to voice over IP is a system that allows fast, clear and precise communication where all the messages get translated into the language that the player installed the game in. Now, this might be a shock, but we already had such a system in the past. Sadly, it was not carried over to the Frostbite generation of Battlefield games. So I hope that this changes now with Battlefield 5, because the ability to communicate and coordinate the tactics of your squad or the entire team is mandatory to allow the players to work together. Easy to learn, yet hard to master. That's what I want from Battlefield 5. The game design and the mechanics have to be easy to understand so that you don't have to visit a forum to find out how a specific game mechanic works. But to figure out how something works and to actually get good at it have to be two very different things. For vehicles, I hope that we get flight mechanics that are more challenging, like the ones that we had before the Frostbite engine era. A flight assist that can be turned on and off could help to lower the entry barrier for new players. When it comes to the weapons, then I hope that we don't see any intentionally overpowered guns like the battle pickups in Battlefield 4, and I don't want to see so many point and click, fire and forget lock-on weapons again. For firearms, I hope that they get harder to control, especially when you go full auto for a longer period of time, and I want that the game gives us an incentive to switch between the different firing modes of a gun. I also hope that Battlefield 5 will not hold my hand as much as Battlefield 4 with its intense 3D spotting, the automatic 2D spotting by just looking in the general direction of an enemy player, and the automatic shoutouts that constantly reveal the position of players. As you might know, I would simply remove 3D spotting entirely from the game, but that's just me and I'm sure that DICE won't do that. But what they could do is tone it down a bit, so that in example you only see the 3D spotting triangles when you don't aim down sights. Or you make it squad only, so that you only see the triangles when someone from your squad spots an enemy, which would also help to encourage players to join and stick with their squad. If Battlefield 5 is the 2142 successor, then you could bring back the networked Battlefield helmets, where every class then has a different spotting ability, and to get the most out of the spotting system, you need different classes inside of your squad, which then again is an incentive to join a squad, to stick with your squad, and to have it composed out of different classes. I hope that DICE Stockholm optimized the Battlefield game servers so that the default tick rate of more than 30 Hz is now possible. Ideal would be 60 Hz because we've seen in Battlefield 4 that the higher simulation rate fixes a lot of the glitches that occur at 30 Hz. It also makes the game more fluid and more responsive, which means that it's much more fun to play. But a reasonable default tick rate is not the only thing that we need for a good online experience. Servers also have to be available in every area where EA sells the game in, and not just in one but multiple locations per area, so that the admin can not just select Europe as hosting location for his console server, but is able to choose from several locations inside that area like admins on the PC can. But even though there have always been more server locations on the PC than on console, there are still some black spots on the map where EA does not ensure the availability of game servers despite selling the game there. Another very important topic is the administration of these game servers. On PC the community helps itself as usual by creating sophisticated tools like Procon, which give the admin a lot of control over their server. On console on the other hand, the admins are not allowed to use Procon. He even can't apply a hyping kicker or a region lock on the server he pays for. These two features, the hyping kicker and the region lock, I want to see integrated directly into the game server on console and PC for Battlefield 5. Because not only can the admins then use these without any third-party tools, but players can then also search for such servers in the server browser. DLC maps that split your player base and premium, which creates first and second class gamers inside of your community, is what I do not want to see in Battlefield 5. I do understand that post-release DLC and premium is how studios and publishers earn their money, but that practice harms your community, which means that in the long run you harm yourself and the reputation of your franchise. So I really hope that EA and DICE can come up with a solution for Battlefield 5 that will not create a rift in the community as their DLC and premium plans did in both Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. EA and DICE have to care about their community from the day they announce the game officially, and they have to provide the foundation for the community to flourish and grow. The reason why I dislike Battlelog so much is primarily because DICE wasted so much potential there. You have the entire community in one single place, but you don't take use of that. The developers could release regular surveys which provide them with fine-grained feedback from those who actually play the game. Battlelog is also the perfect place for clans and communities to present themselves so that gamers who want to play with others can find and join them. On this platform, those groups could then interact with each other. Imagine if there was the possibility for the leader or manager of a clan to go to the Battlelog page of another clan and press the challenge button. They could then set the time and date for that war, maybe even use a Twitch integration inside Battlelog to stream it. and the results would then show up on the battlelog pages of these clans or communities. They could even have their own leaderboards, regular tournaments, etc, etc, etc. But battlelog would not replace the websites that these clans and often multi-gaming communities have. It would be an addition that helps them to become a part of the Battlefield franchise. There is so much that you can do with a platform like battlelog that allows your community to grow and flourish. I hope that DICE is aware of that and that the online component of Battlefield 5 is designed to support the community with all its groups and clans to allow them to play the game how it should be played, as a team. Before the Frostbite engine era, Battlefield was known for its insanely active and creative mod community, which did not only help some people to make a career as game designer, but also played a big role in the success of the franchise. But as we all know, the Frostbite engine was built without mod support, and during the Battlefield 3 days we even were told that mods are a declining trend, which is really not the case as the last few years have showed us. So I'm sure that we won't see full mod support in Battlefield 5 because I can't imagine that EA and DICE would give that a high enough priority to overcome the technical issues and the licensing difficulties for integration into Battlefield 5. However, what might be feasible and still have a massive impact on the community is a level editor that allows everyone to build a new map from scratch or to modify one of the retail maps using the assets provided by the game. With that power, the community could create new experiences or fine-tune maps and game modes so that they work better for a special purpose, like the production of a machinima. It would also greatly help the competitive scene, as they could tweak existing maps to better fit their needs, or they could even build maps from scratch for their tournaments. A level editor helps to grow your community, and a steady stream of new content and news about this content is critical to keep it healthy. So these are my top 10 wishes for Battlefield 5. What are yours? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, have a nice day and take care. My name is Chris and this was Battle Nonsense.